Good evening and welcome. This is the Chelsea FanCast. It's Friday night! Just gone 7:30. It's time for our preview show. And of course, I'm joined by the beetroot eating Jonathan Kydd.
Bit of fish, cucumber. Sorry, everybody, but I just got given him a dinner. The girlfriend mistimed everything.
What's that? What did John Sitton famously say in the dressing room? Can anybody remember?
I will. I'll give it a Google whilst you.
Yeah, he mentioned dinner, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go and get your dinner.
Go and eat your dinner. There we go. Maybe that's what. No, JK is taking up his advice. We have a guest in the house, JK. We have a very special, royally appointed guest tonight, don't we?
Regally, is he regal? I didn't know that.
I think he's by appointment.
Are you related to Her Majesty, Clayton?
I might be related to some old queens, but you never know.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There you go. Lovely to have.
Housewife's choice himself, Clayton Beerman. Whoop, 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 whoop.
Right. So he said, "You little C, when I tell you to do something, and you effing big C, when I tell you to do something, do it. And if you come back at me, we'll have a effing right sort out in here. And you can pair up if you like. And you can effing pick someone else to help you. And you can bring your effing dinner. Because by the time I finish with you, you'll effing need it. Do you effing hear what I'm saying or not?" This was to Terry Howard, our ex-player.
There we go. So, JK, bring your dinner. I think he has.
I have.
There we go. Well, it's good to see you both. I think we're all on quite chipper form at the moment for some reason. It must be because Chelsea are actually vaguely making, kind of an appearance of their old selves, perhaps. But there you go. Quite right. Quick plugs, as always, before we get on with the show. Don't forget you can now watch the show on Facebook and our YouTube channel. And, of course, as well as listening to the show live every Monday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. If you want to listen to it live, it's chelsea-fancast.mixler.com. And of course, the great thing about both Mixler and YouTube and Facebook is that there's a chat facility, so you can chat with each other, chat with us, say what you like. Really, it's all the same to us. So, but it's great fun. A lot of people get involved, so that's nice. Of course, you can follow us on all the socials at Chelsea FanCast. Listen and subscribe on Acast, Spotify, Apple, and all good podcast platforms. And of course, wherever you catch your Chelsea FanCast, make sure you leave us a big smacking kiss and a 5-star review. That would be nice. We will thank you. Another way you can thank us, of course, is by becoming a Chelsea FanCast patron, which basically involves you bunging us a few shekels each month for absolutely no reason other than you want to say thank you. I mean, you will, in return for this huge honour, get a Kerry Dixon banner, a mini banner, like the one that Clayton's got above his head there. That's the original Kerry Dixon banner, which adorns the Matthew Harding awnings. We have little mini replica ones of those, so you get one of those if you want one. And of course, you can also get exclusive access to our Discord group, which is basically like Mixler and the other chat rooms every day, 24/7. Really good people in there. I commend it to you. Now, the other thing that we've been doing recently, we've got into the merch business. Namely this little T-shirt here, which is becoming increasingly popular. People are beginning to see the light that if they sell Connor, we riot. Well, yeah, I mean, whether we mean riot literally is open to debate. We are rather geriatric, so the chances of us leading a revolt are quite slim, frankly. But the sentiment is pure. The sentiment is honest. We love Conor Gallagher. We don't think the club should sell him. So it would be a riotous thing to do. Anyway, they're great T-shirts, apart from all that. Lovely picture of Connor, lovely big "If they sell Connor, we riot" statement, and of course the little Chelsea FanCast logo. As well as that, we've got mugs. There you go. If you don't want a T-shirt, get yourself a mug. The mugs are come in white, completely white, or they come with a blue inside, which is rather nice. Now, the best way to get these, of course, is by either go to our website and find out about it there, which is chelseafancast.com/category/merchandise, or just simply email your orders to thechelseaspecial@gmail.com. And of course, what we need to know is what color mug you want, or what size t-shirt you want. And you need to give us your address so we know where to send it to. And then what you do for t-shirts, it's 25 quid. All the prices include postage and packaging, right? So it's 25 quid in the UK, 28 quid in Europe, 30 quid in North America, 15 quid, 18 quid, and 20 quid for the mugs. And you pay that via PayPal to the same email address, thechelseaspecial@gmail.com. And of course, if you do pay you have no choice. You have to pay via PayPal. So when you do, you have to choose the friends and family option. That is rather important. Otherwise, we get hit with all sorts of bloody fees from PayPal, which we don't want. Oh, no, we don't. So there you go. So grab yourself a T-shirt and we will thank you profusely. And so will you, because you'll look damn cool. Right, after this little interlude, we will be catching up on all the Chelsea news from the week. Yes, indeed. So, we for a change, there's no midweek game to report back on. So, I thought it'd give us a chance to talk about some more general things, apart from the specific things that we're going to talk about. And the first, it'd be easy for me to say, the first specific thing I want to talk about is the player of the year do, which Clayton was at. He was there. So. Tell us all about. I mean, here's the thing, Clayton. I actually got an email from Chelsea to say, "Do you want to go into the ballot for tickets?" And I do this every year, and I've never ever once got the ballot ticket. The only time I've ever gone, I've had to pay, and it's expensive. So, and also it's a work night, so for me it's rather difficult. But you were there with Charlie, your son, weren't you?
I was there with my son, and we did get tickets through the ballot. So I didn't pay for it, and
they obviously don't know you're on the FanCast then.
Well, I don't know. Possibly not. It was great. For me, the best thing was I didn't tell Charlie where we'd had a day out, and I said, and I was with the missus, and when it was time to go home, I said, "Oh, we're not going home. We're going somewhere else." So he didn't know where we were going. He sort of pretty quickly realised we were heading towards Chelsea, and he said, "Oh God, we're not going to watch some youth game, are we?" He thought I was dragging him along to something else, and then I said, "No." I said, and then when we turned up, he basically, I gave him his ticket, and his face was an absolute delight. And when we went inside, it's even better because you don't realise it's actually the room's very beautifully done out and what have you. And it was great. It was really good. My only complaint, if I had one, was the fact that the guy who presented it, I think he's a BBC presenter, and he was pretty awful. When people tell you what a fabulous club you are and you're this great club, and you just know that they don't actually mean it. But that's a sort of a minor thing. So yeah, no, it was good. Obviously massively shocked to see that Mr. Palmer won both awards. He's a funny guy, but I don't mean funny as in stand up. It was like, so you've won a, yeah. And, and sort of, possibly going to the Euros. Yeah. And it's just like, okay. He's a footballer, and that's all he wants to do. He obviously doesn't want to do anything else. We had Reece James came up on stage. Hopefully didn't hurt himself in the process.
He didn't get injured. That's amazing.
He and Millie Bright, who's the captain of the women's team, for those who don't know, they came up on stage because 3 players who are leaving the club, Thiago Silva, Frank Kirby and Mara Mielda, got awarded like their shirt framed. Thiago, as we know, doesn't speak any English at all. He understands it perfectly, and I suspect he's just a little shy. and he doesn't want to make a fool of himself. So that's why he doesn't speak. But he's been here 4 years now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So we had the translation, and yet again, as per his leaving video, he looked very, very emotional and quite upset.
Love him.
At one stage, he sort of lent into Reece James, so that was lovely. But the highlight for me was that Emma Hayes was honoured and what have you. And I don't know, you would have seen it on social media, but she basically becomes the first female to go on the shed wall. It's actually
figuratively speaking.
Figuratively speaking, it's actually opposite the actual shed wall. It's but it's
she's not on the wall, is she?
She's not on the wall. She's opposite the wall, but she is on a wall.
Is that because there's no more room on the wall?
I believe so, yes. If you think about it, there isn't any room, but she's opposite, sort of more or less Aussie, where Aussie is. So you got Benetti, and then you got Osgood, and she's on the opposite wall. And very luckily, when I left the ceremony, she was there because she hadn't seen it. It was sort of revealed by live video when she was on stage in the room, and she was very thrilled by that. And she was there, being filmed, and so I got to say hello and thank you, which was brilliant. It was just very nice. It was good. The sort of the bugbear is that the players are all roped off and you can't get anywhere.
Oh yeah, that's been going on for a while, hasn't it?
But I do find it slightly churlish that they don't really want to spend any time mingling with anybody. It's not like there's thousands of people there. There is, I would say that in terms of fans, there's probably 150, maybe, if that. All that being said, the nearest toilet was where the hoi polloi was sitting, i.e. us, and Charlie managed to get a photo with both Conor Gallagher, as I say, easy for me to say, Conor Gallagher and Levi Colwell, who were both delightful, really shy.
Having a wee. Got them having a wee.
Oh, when they were out from the wee, although I would say that Charlie followed Cole Palmer into the toilet, who was basically flanked by a huge bodyguard, and Charlie nodded and Cole nodded back. But you know, it's and sort of forgot to mention Alfie Gilchrist won the young academy player, which I think is a fair shout. He's the one from the academy who's got the most first team minutes. But yeah, all good, all very good.
You had a good time. Yeah, just to wrap that up, Cole Palmer swept the board, really, didn't he? Got player of the year and players player of the year.
So that's the other players. So it's a fan.
We vote for the player of the year, don't we?
And then the players vote for their players player of the year.
Yeah. So I voted for Gallagher, but only in the hope that he'd win and piss off the board. Anyway, and Gilchrist won the Academy Player of the Year. There was another award, wasn't there, which I don't really understand, but Conor Gallagher and Zakira Musovic won a PFA Community Champions Award for their work with the Chelsea Foundation. Which I mean, rather lovely.
Yeah, they showed videos of them working in the community, and obviously they do it more than anybody else. And Zakira Musovic also won another award, which basically I didn't realise that she'd set up her own foundation. So she's obviously a pretty special person.
Yeah, about gender equality, isn't it, or something I read?
It's, I'm not sure it's exclusively that, but it is championing women. So it's, and she's obviously, I think she was, although she's Swedish, I think somebody on Mixlr will probably tell us, but she was brought up in a war-torn zone. So, so it was really good. I mean, it's lovely that they were honoured. I think it's, I think there is a lot of great work that the foundation does, and the players do. They do stuff. They get out there, and whether Conor Skira, so she's Bosnian, so she's Bosnian origin, So her family are. So it's great. It's really, really good.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Nathan, also known as Chelsea Grove Society, says this is about Emma. She also has the honour of having the only working. He likes QR codes, does our Nathan. He's massively into QR codes. Anyway, she also has the honour of having the only working QR code on the shed wall, Aussie statue, and the museum. So there you go. Thank you for that one, Nathan. We are indebted to your superior knowledge. Well done, you too, Clayton. You lucky old boy. One day, I'll get a ticket to the ball. Says Cinderella. But
well, I think the one thing about winning a ticket is that you know that chances of winning another one are pretty remote.
Well, apparently there are people who win every year. I'm not saying anything. I'm not mentioning names, but I've heard that is the case.
I did see a lot of people I recognised.
Yes, but there you go. I'm sure it's not personal. I'm sure I'm just being oversensitive. Right. Okay. Moving on. We had some interesting news this week about Todd Boehly doing a town hall with the supporters. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't that. It was an interview with some fucking investment company. Sportico Invest in Sports. Apparently, yeah, I've not heard of it either. Let me just read. It's a bit long, but I apologize for that. But for those of you who haven't seen the comments, this is what he said. He was interviewed. We've seen the last 2.5 games, at least in the second half, Aston Villa 2-2 draw and Tottenham 2-0 win and West Ham 5-0 win, where we played just beautiful football. By the way, actually, I looked at the photograph of Todd Boehly at this thing, or the video of it, and he's lost a bit of weight. So I need to get his personal advice on that, as I'm putting weight on. But he's had his hair nicely cut. If you put your hand over his hairline, like a bit like that, he looks like Bruce Willis. Go and do it at home, folks. He looks like Bruce Willis. I kid you not. Anyway, it was so fluid. It was exactly the way we drew it up. When we came out of the back, built up and moved up the pitch, it was very organised, and the number of shots we had on board. In those 2.5 games, you could really start to see what we were working on coming together. Even the commentary has changed after the last 2.5 games. I've never seen anything change so quickly. And then on Chelsea as a whole, I think this is about the games going to the States. Possibly. You have to make it relevant to them, young people, Boehly said. And I think the sport is becoming more and more relevant. The window that they have on the East Coast, in particular Saturday morning and Sunday morning, where there's nothing really that competes with other sports really gives it a great opportunity to reach. The fan fests that the Premier League do from city to city, you see them, it only builds momentum. Hopefully, Cole Palmer will become a household name here soon. He's been a phenomenon for us, and so we're thinking hard about how we continue to expand our brand in the United States. That's ultimately a priority as well. And I think this is all to do with the salary cap. No, he's still talking about expanding the Premier League. One of the things that would have helped if I'd actually put what the context was, wouldn't it? Anyway, one of the things that the Premier League clubs have is worldwide marks they can use. We've got a global group of players from Argentina to Brazil. Part of the long-range plan will be really to extend the brand as much as possible to build a fan base, because ultimately the larger our fan base grows, the more competitive we're able to be, because these salary caps are based on revenue. Yeah, it's the salary caps that the Premier League are talking about. In order to compete, you have to have growing revenue. And I think a brand like Chelsea really allows for that. Growing that brand, especially globally, is predicated on winning. I think that winning is at the top of the things that's most important. When you're attracting a new fan, the key is to have something that's really aspirational. And we're supportive of anything that adds to the competitive nature of the sport. He said, the reason the Premier League is doing so well is because it's so competitive and everyone wants to watch it. No one knows how the games are going to happen. If you look around at what's going on right now in different European leagues, some of them are having a hard time selling their media rights. I think the competitiveness that you're going to continue to see and evolve as the sport evolves is just going to be good for the Premier League. So there you go. That's what he had to say. I've ignored all the mouth breathing on social media to save our reactions for tonight. JK, what do you think of what he had to say?
Well, I'm a bit perturbed that he seems to have finally sussed that it's all about winning, because you'd have thought that would have been uppermost in their thoughts when they bought the club, rather than it just being a brand that you improved by somehow it just went into the ether and you just existed. So I'm a bit depressed by that. He talks a good game, doesn't he, when he's chatting on these finance shows? But where was he? Indeed, where was he when we were shit? Absolutely, that would be very nice to know. I think he wasn't born. He wasn't born, probably. He must have been about 10. How old is he? About 50 or something? What is he?
Yeah, he's younger than me.
Yeah. So, it just seems a lot of hot air, really. I don't quite know what. It's the first time he's said anything, isn't it? I'm slightly perturbed that they appear to have looked at the last 2.5 games as opposed to anything else. What made them specifically look at the last 2.5 games?
No, I think I think they've probably been looking at them all the time. I think he was remarking on the change. Yeah.
There was a change in it, but I felt that his remarks about the commentators are coming in from a different angle. I think, well, if you looked at Match of the Day, they were very.
I don't think he meant commentators literally.
He meant pundits. He meant, didn't he?
People generally commenting on it.
Well, yeah, but I suppose that once again, it follows as night follows day. That if you're playing well, people aren't going to talk bollocks about you, are they? They're not going to. There isn't a bias that way, particularly. People seem to be very keen if somebody plays well, which I have to say is something that I've been intrigued by. Is that we haven't been. We've been thrown to the cleaners by some people. Said nightmarish club, it's not working. But then you suddenly have a very good home record that we've had for the last 10 games, and you can see that there's improvement, and that's been reflected in the attitude of everybody. But it's almost like it's something that he feels he should say now that we're improving towards the end of the season. I don't whether it's a statement about Poch, whether Poch should actually grab hold of that as some kind of magical wand that means he's going to be not going to be sacked or he's going to continue. It's something, in fact, that comes up in the presser. But I just felt
you don't sound very enthused by it.
No, I'm not particularly.
Why not? Why not?
Well, because I think they should have been communicating with us much sooner. I think.
I don't think they are communicating with us at all.
They're not at all. Well, I'm not even that. They're not communicating in the slightest. They're just making a statement. I don't think that we should get access to the owners via statements about how financially, how many opportunities there are to make more money for the club abroad. I think there should be one or two of them should be seen at the ground a bit more. I just feel that it's become a bit distant. It appears to me that they've completely ceded responsibility to the sporting directors, and we don't get a peep out of them either. I just feel there isn't any communication other than with the manager, and the manager appears to have no communication with anybody as far as you speak to him listen to him at the press conferences. So I'm disappointed in that aspect of it, but good for him. He now thinks that the club is doing much better. He's established that winning is the major thing for the club. Yes, we've worked that out, and they're probably going to. Does that mean if they're trying to move into South American markets that they will attempt to get more South American players into the first team? I would presume that would be very much on, if Poch is still with us, on his remit for next season. If they can integrate players who are likely to make the club money, rather than I hope being good enough to win us titles, in which case that would attract more players. But I suppose one should be. One should be pleased that there has been communication, albeit of communication, but he actually has spoken, albeit of a financial nature.
You see, this is my gripe. It's not communication to anybody involved with Chelsea.
Wrong word.
It's all bloody, interviews in investment conferences. And I agree with you. It's all. I mean, there's. I accept we need the club to make money. I accept that the model has changed completely. We now have to generate revenue to generate success. This is not like it was under Roman, where Roman generated success by putting his hand in his pocket. I accept that the model has changed, but I agree with you. There's a disconnect with the supporters, and if I was the owners, I would be trying to make some connection. Clayton, what did you make of it, my friend?
I don't really. I don't sort of pick up. I don't get the same negativity as you. I frankly couldn't care less in terms of it wasn't an interview about Chelsea. it was an interview about business, and Chelsea is part of the business that he is involved with. And he spoke about monetization.
That's a fair point, mate. Actually, that is a fair point.
So he talked about money, making money from the club and growing the brand. I hate the expression, but it's here to stay. But it's just a reality. I think the last time I was on, you mentioned the fact that they're basically a hedge fund, and hedge funds make money. Or try to make money, and that's exactly what they are going to do. And if anybody thinks anything different, then they're missing the whole point. This is this is what is going to happen. But what I would say is, yes, we have had no communication from them, and the heads come above the parapet, which coincided with the fact that we played 2.5 good games of football, which is great. But show me one other football club where their owner has actually said anything.
Well, directly to them. Well, that of course is very, very true. So there we go. I mean, you can read whatever you want into it, and I suspect that's exactly what people will do. Right. The other thing that cropped up, I saw a couple of very interesting kind of graphics on X, which I've nicked because I thought they were kind of worthy of chat. Obviously, we are now, thanks to beating West Ham last week, we're on the cusp of getting qualification to Europe. And somebody put this wonderful graphic up on X. I don't know if you boys saw this, but it's the projected pots for the 24-25 Conference League, which weirdly got me a little bit moist in thinking about it. Chelsea would be in pot 1. Look at our coefficient of 96. I mean, that is huge. But pot 1 would be Chelsea, Napoli, Lyon, Olympiacos, PAOK, as we remember them. Remember, that's when Bruce Buck famously wandered around offering people crisps, wasn't it? If you recall, the away leg of the game against PAOK.
I think you'll find they were nachos. They weren't crisps.
Well, I thought they were Walkers, but I wasn't there, so I took it on faith.
It wasn't. There's another... anyway,
Quavers?
No, they were like, there's another word for corn chips and what have you. Anyway, tortillas. That was it. Tortilla chips, something like that. Anyway,
nachos would be correct. Yeah. And Lask. I mean, I'm not going to read all these teams out because it would bore people stupid. But a few, the Jambos are in pot 5. Hearts, wouldn't it be great to play them? Rapid Vienne, we've played them before. That would be fun. Who else is in there? Shamrock Rovers, exactly. I dream that we get. Fuck me, can you imagine a away trip to Shamrock? They've got to be in Dublin, haven't they, Clayton? Do you know?
I don't know exactly where they are. All I know is their ground won't be very big. And I'm quite interested to see the new Saints. They're a team that play in Wales that win the league every single year and don't lose.
Yeah, they are. There are several teams that I can't even pronounce. So I won't try.
Jagiellonian Bialystok.
Isn't that a character out of The Producers?
It is.
Well, then we have to play them. We've got a few we know. Real Betis, we've played before. Cluj, we've played before. I think we've played Midtjylland before. Maccabi Haifa, where it all went a bit pear-shaped. We played them before. But there are some really interesting...
we beat them.
Who?
Trabzonspor, we've played them, haven't we?
Have we?
Haven't we played them?
I don't know. I think the point is that, there's been talk in the pub about this. People are probably sitting at home going, why the bloody hell are you all talking about this? The reason is because we've been talking about it in the pub a lot, going, oh, Europe, we'd like to go in the Conference League. It'd be a giggle because we would then, if we win it, we've genuinely won it all. And secondly, it's a good excuse to go on some trips away to places you've never been before. So when I saw this graphic, it kind of absolutely validated that there's loads of places on there that we haven't been before. And I mean, a trip to Nicosia in a sunny month would be wonderful, wouldn't it? Anyway, obviously the boys have got to do it first, and that's going to be easier said than done. And I think this is another thing that caught my eye this week is this, boys, the Premier League injury table. We are top of the league. We are top of the league. Yep, Chelsea are the top of the league. the club with the highest number of Premier League games missed through injury. We've had 54 injuries and have missed that have contributed to missing 309 games this season. Nobody gets anywhere close. Newcastle are second with 38, and I think that's 258 games missed. I mean, what does that tell you, Clayton? What does that tell you?
Well, either our medical department is shit, or we bought loads of players who are already injured. I don't know. I mean, I just think the whole thing's a disgrace. I really do. You think about Romeo Lavia. We didn't see him for God knows how many months. He came on, played half an hour, and he's never been seen again. I mean, how can that possibly happen? I mean, the whole Nkunku thing is just, I mean, very unfortunate he got injured in America, but he came back and then disappeared without trace. I've got no idea. I mean, Reece James has been appallingly managed.
Colwell's toe as well.
Colwell's toe, yeah.
He had a toe injury, and he hasn't played for
sounds
about...
like a beer, doesn't it? I'll have a pint of Colwell's toe, please.
Colwell's toe.
There was a whole thing, wasn't it, about changing the medical department, and the players that were left were very, very unhappy because you build relationships with these people. Even when you're not injured, they're all part of the club. They all got shipped out. All these new people came in. And football clubs are run on analytics these days. And we watch players being taken off when you basically think, well, I don't know why they're coming off. Well, they're coming off because the medical department has told Poch, you can only get 60 minutes out of this player in this particular game. The whole thing about playing through pain is not a thing anymore. You can't do that. I mean, when we first started watching football, people would play with gunshot wounds, they'd have a bit of an injection and that would be it. And quite rightly, because it's, a lot of them.
People play with broken legs.
Yeah. I mean, but if you think about it, people that played in the 70s all had these cortisone injections that basically crippled them. There were so many footballers, I think Ozzy, Hutch and the like, couldn't walk. They couldn't walk properly because what was done with them. So we can only be pleased that their welfare is basically been taken care of. However, it's sort of just gone the other way. I think I don't know. I
think it happened in the Champions League this week, didn't it? When Harry Kane was taken off with 8 minutes to go on the clock, which was about 21
Cost him
minutes.
the match.
Cost them the match completely. Yeah. He made some terrible decisions, Tuchel.
Didn't he?
Apparently he had a bad back.
Yeah, apparently they said he had, but I'd rather him playing with a bad back up front rather than the bloke they brought on. 35-year-old hasn't scored since October.
Well, I thought the obvious thing about that was that if it had gone to penalties, you've just taken away one of your best penalty takers.
Unless he's playing for England.
Well, that's true. But I know he missed that one in the quarterfinal, but I mean, generally he's exceptionally reliable as a penalty taker. So
it was obviously nothing to do with Chelsea, but it was the most bizarre set of substitutions.
It was Ranieri like,
because they were 1-0 up, and even if Real equalised, you want Harry Kane on there.
Well, exactly that. All very bizarre. JK, what do you think of Chelsea winning the Premier League injury table championship?
I thought it was inevitable. I thought they'd be higher up than first.
I mean, it's an achievement that we've been out in front from pretty much the beginning of the season.
Very beginning, I think we started, didn't we, before the season started already?
We've been top from the word go, mate. I mean, it's a marvellous achievement.
If you buy players that are already injured, it's likely to be the case, isn't it? So... I like the picture as well of Nkunku with an injury I didn't even know he had, which is a broken arm, which was interesting.
Yeah, I think they might have photoshopped that on rather cruelly.
Oh, do you reckon? Yeah,
because I've never
on his knee as well. Looks he's got a knee bandage.
Yeah,
they don't have them anymore, do they? Those
they needed a bandage across his forehead with a bit of a red patch or something.
Yes.
But
that makes wonderful sense, doesn't it? Really, but. We've gone on about this at length about what on earth has been going on with the type of grass, or was it that thing about Reece James ran backwards. It's because he was running backwards so often that he put great stress on his Achilles, on his hamstrings. I mean, let's see what happens next year. If we have some of them don't ever make it again, you'll realize it was just ridiculous purchasing. It was ridiculous transfer policy. Or is there something really rubbish in the medical department, or are they overdoing some training aspect? But I mean, surely the players would be able to say, look, I don't like doing this. I'm finding it quite painful. You thought they'd be involved. But no, talking about Colwell's toe was a perfect example for me of how he only had a toe injury. And as I said at the time, I know when I bashed my toe when I was driving my scooter against a bollard, the doctor said, I can't do anything about that. It's cracked. He said, you'll be all right in about 10 days.
Yeah.
But
Run it off, mate. Run it off. Put a cold sponge on it.
Yeah. Where's Colwell? It appears to have been something that's affected all his body.
I'm amazed the medical department said, what are you worried about? You got another one? That's the kind of thing our doctors would say, isn't it?
Said, we've got a little ferrule we can give you just to stick by your big toe and your next toe to it and stick it there. That should be good.
Hang on, what have you given me a new word here? I love it. A what?
A ferrule.
A ferrule.
Ferrule. It's what they stick on the end of a walking stick. It's a little,
A what? A hawking stick? What's a hawking stick?
A walking stick.
A walking stick.
Yeah,
walking sticks, Chelsea! Walking sticks!
A hawking stick would be good, wouldn't it, actually? Whenever a hawk comes near you, got to have a stick to beat it away. Yeah. I've got several of those. Have to be a special design.
Loads of them in London, mate. See him every day in London. Anyway, I don't know. I mean, I think JK makes a really good point there, Clayton. What we don't want to see is a repeat of that next season. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of injuries to have and a ridiculous amount of games missed. And I feel we'll pick up on this in part 2, actually, which is coming up in a minute. By the way, in part 2, we are previewing the Nottingham Forest Chelsea match, and JK will be telling us all about Pochettino's rather interesting press conference. But yeah, I do feel I have an element of sympathy for Poch, as I would for any manager who had to deal with that amount of injuries, because it is crazy. Right, before we go to a break, of course, this is my weekly plug for the best fanzine in the universe. The reason it's the best is because Clayton Beerman writes for it. Isn't that right, Clayton?
It is. That's very kind of you to say so. There's lots of other people more talented than me. My article this week is probably quite funny because it was written on the back of the Arsenal defeat, and it's all about who to blame for the terrible mess that we're in. So talk about a week being a long time in politics. It's probably quite an amusing read.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward. I haven't read it yet, but I only picked it up against. Actually, it's nearly a week, isn't it? I mean, this is the trouble. I do the football, and then I get to Tuesday after the show, and then my whole week disappears in a world of psychotherapy, and I kind of resurface on Friday night in time for the show, and I don't really do much in between. Anyway, yeah, CFC UK. Obviously, you've only got a couple of chances to buy this month's copy, the May copy, if you're going to the games, that is. But don't panic. This is a good time to set up your subscription if you cannot get to games, because Dave sells the fanzine by subscription as well. So you get the monthly issue posted to you. If you want to do that, all you have to do is email fanzine@cfcuk.net. A subscription for a year is 20 quid in the UK, 45 quid in Europe, 60 quid in the rest of the world. You can, if you don't want a hard copy, then you can actually get a PDF emailed to you as a digital copy. They're 6 quid for a season or a quid each. As I said, you can pay all this via PayPal to fanzine@cfcuk.net. Now, the other thing that we are rather fond of course, is this little thing here, which is, of course, a CPO share, a Chelsea pitch owner's share. There we go. A rather important thing, given the uncertainty of where we might be playing in the imminent future. Very interesting to hear Matt Law talking on London is Blue about the fact that, since they got rid of the first redevelopment team, they've gone, they've got this guy, Jason Gannon, involved. They've gone back to square one, and they've literally scrapped every as far as they got, and they've started again. So we kind of knew that anyway, but it's annoying to hear that again. If you want to share, then you basically go to chelseafc.com and search for Chelsea pitch owners. It's about 110 quid for an electronic share and 173 quid for a framed, signed by a Chelsea player share. And of course, this is not like a rebellious or insurrectionist act to have a CPO share. Most of the shareholders, in fact, probably all of the shareholders, are die-hard Chelsea supporters who love the club. And this was set up the CPO was set up to protect the club or the ground from being sold from underneath them to property developers back in the 80s and the 90s. So Bates did a fine job there. And it's actually given real power and democracy to the hands of the people that should have it, which is the supporters. So, it's democratic. One man, one vote, and if enough people vote to say they want to call us LA Chelsea moving forward and move us to, Pasadena, then that's what will happen. But if they don't, then we stay where we are. So it gives you a bit of power and a voice, really. That's as simply put as I can make it. So there you go. I commend it to you. Right. We are going to have a very, very quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be talking all about Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea.
Real fans, real opinions.
I'm Jason Cundy, and you're listening to Chidge and the boys on the Chelsea Football Fancast. Total nutters and proper Chelsea.
Footballfancast.com.
There we go. Welcome back. It's Stamford Chidge here on the Chelsea Fancast, the Friday night preview show, part 2, where we preview the game for the weekend, which of course is Nottingham Forest versus Chelsea. I'm joined by the Right Honourable Jonathan Kydd.
Hello.
You've not swapped sides, you're not crossing the benches to join London is Blue at all next week or anything?
I'm waiting for my invite. Is it on the cards then? Have you've offered me to them? Have you?
No. I'm doing a bit of politics, mate. Trying to be a bit topical. Seeing if you're going to do a Natalie Elphick. It's a joke that has gone as flat as a fucking pancake.
Yeah, completely, actually.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Yeah. That's why I love you. Thank you. Just leave me there. Leave me there, drowning in the shit. Just do that. That's fine.
Take two.
No take twos.
Yes, funnily enough, I was thinking of doing it because my views are very similar to theirs, despite being far more moulded by you. So in fact, all it would just be a mini you if I go there.
A mini me. There we go. I didn't know you were a stats nerd.
A stats? Is that what you are?
I might be.
I didn't realize.
I'm saying nothing.
You hated stats.
I know. Anyway, it's lovely to have you on the show as always. And of course, we have the absolutely magnificent Housewives' Choice. The lovely. I had a bone to pick with you. I saw you on the Over the Line thing, didn't I? Last weekend. Saw you and your lovely son.
Yeah.
We were me and my new best friend Johnny, who sits next to me, who's a fine gentleman, went down to join Tony for a beer at half time.
Yeah.
I was going to buy you a beer for your birthday, and you didn't appear.
Right. So first of all, before I answer, first of all, I just want to tell everybody who's listening to Fancast what an amazing guy you are, because I had my birthday on Sunday, and I was with my son, and we were in the Cock Tavern, expecting to see you, and completely forgetting you were doing Over the Line. I saw the lovely Dan Silver and Mr. Glover, etc. And I got a WhatsApp. And the WhatsApp was a birthday message from the legend that is Paul Cannaville, which is what you did, which I thought was pretty special. So thank you very much indeed for that. I did try and meet you at halftime, but there was a massive queue and I couldn't actually get through the bottleneck. And you were coming from the other way and Tony had obviously left. But by the time there was the queue for the toilets and the queue for the beers, and it was just like that I couldn't get there. So I do apologize.
No, mate, I totally agree with you. I actually went down there, and Attilio, Tony's mate, always gets the beers in. I don't know how he does it. I wonder if he's got like some deal with the people who serve the beer, because he's always got beer down there. Just
go ridiculously early, because basically, there's a bunch of guys that sit sort of some in front and some behind. And like 5 minutes to go before the end of the first half, who wants what, and all this, that, and the other. I was thinking, hello, what's going on?
I won't leave early just for a beer. I won't do it. But anyway, I got down there. I thought, well, I better, and I promised Johnny, because he's very sweet. He often takes me down to the bar in Gate 17 and gets me a beer. And I thought I need to get him a beer. So I joined the queue, and, you know, after 10 minutes, it had moved by about 3 people. And I thought, this ain't happening, but I'll stick around. Anyway, Tillo he'd bought more beers than they needed. So luckily we managed to squeeze half a pint down, but there you go. Anyway, happy birthday again for last Sunday, Clayton. And well done, Chelsea, for giving you a nice birthday present.
Well, both the men and the women.
Indeed. 13-0. Good aggregate score.
Lovely.
Right. It's now time for Jonathan Kydd's presser summary.
Ooh. You took me by surprise, Chidge, then.
I actually remembered to put it in. That's why. You've got the presser up. I love it. Well done. Looks good.
Yeah, I've written on here, put presser up.
Oh, well done.
Write it on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
On that, you go, put the presser up, put screen on. Well, I found this a strangely incomprehensible pile of shit, actually. He was very smiley and he was keen to laugh as much as possible at things. Exactly, didn't seem particularly funny, and a lot of the time just spoke absolute bollocks. It was quite remarkable how he failed to answer any of the questions or form coherent sentences, and then laughed, as I kept saying. So I watched a lot of it in kind of sort of disbelief, trying to work out what on earth he'd said. And I went back on it on several occasions thinking, I can't make head or tail of anything that he's said to response. Anyway, he was asked earlier on. The bloke, he seemed to be on it most of the time. He got a voice like that at the very beginning. Like that. Injury update, he said, which was, I thought, good for a very beginning. Injury update. Hey, what? Hey, wow, fantastic. Anyway, and he said, we assess. What the fucking hell? They're playing tomorrow. Who are they going to assess? Anyway, tomorrow they may come in. We are going to be in the last game of the season, and nearly all the players will be fit. Big laugh from Poch. Nearly all the players will be fit. Yes, I think we've grasped that. Good thing to see the future. Be more optimistic. Anyway, he said, and this chap said, ironic, isn't it? Poch looked completely confused. So he said, disappointing, he said, which isn't what ironic means at all. But anyway, disappointing, as when you arrive at new club, he's having a little go here. When you arrive at new club, you want to look back you want to work with the whole squad to create a good dynamic and increase the level. Impossible this season. We need to assess why. Questioning the medical staff. We need to improve. Yes, we know that. It's our challenge next season to start the season. Incomprehensible. Don't know what that meant. Think he meant with a full compliment. Anyway, Reece James was mentioned by this chap. Reece James, yes, he may be available to be in the squad. And then they talked about the awards. Cole swept the awards. Should Cole win the Premier League Player of the Year plus the Young Player of the Year? Should he win it? Aha, says Poch. Aha. We will see. For fuck's sake, Poch. Yes, of course we'll fucking see. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's an award ceremony. Fucking hell. We will see. What he achieved is massive. Yes. Blah, blah, blah. It's arranging. It's what he achieved. Amazing for us, for the club. I thought you were the club as well. And for himself. Yes. What bollocks. We will see, but what he is doing is fantastic. Now, the chap says, spring is sprung, weather good. And Poch said this remarkable thing, which I thought at the time was utterly stupid. Players want to go on holiday and not stay here working. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear that they want to go on holiday. Thank you. But he said it.
Well, we do if it's holiday time.
Yeah, but not now with 3 games to go.
Not now.
Of getting into Europe. But he thinks he's made the gag of the season, Poch. He goes. Good atmosphere since wins, asks our jolly man with the fruity voice. Always good in training, always, since the beginning of the season, says Poch, slightly tetchily, suddenly changing. Some good results, increasing our belief. Will we see that? Team is ready for the last 3 games. Important to be in Europe. We are focused for tomorrow. The chap says, better out of Europe, do you think? And he says, important for every single club. And then he just talks bollocks. Most important, repeat of performances of last few weeks. Need to repeat and replicate and be focused. I suppose that makes sense. I think I've made sense of it. We know that if we win the last 3 games, that will put us in a place to play in Europe next season. Yes, we know that. Yes. Thank you. Didn't reply to the question, really. Anyway, the chap says the last 2.5 performances you refer to, which he didn't. And Poch thinks 2.5 is hilarious. 2.5. Who said this? Who said this? Says Poch. Who said this? But he said, the chap then said, who said it was beautiful football, fluid football? Who said that? And Poch is still grinning and like Stan Laurel. He's looking like Stan Laurel. And proof that the project is coming together, he says. Poch didn't answer. He didn't know the reference. He had clearly not any idea that Boehly had made this statement at all during the week. He had no idea because this bloke said, who said this? Who said this? Who said it was beautiful football, fluid football? And Poch still grinning. And he says, we are thinking only of result of second half versus Villa. But I think in the whole season, some performances, he says actually in the whole season, some performances were better than the second half of Villa, but we were not clinical enough or not in the moment we are now living. The confidence to deal with situations, that's why we win. We've played very good football, but didn't win. I suppose what he was talking about was the inability for us to score. But we were punished for, he says it, punished for lack of capacity scoring goals. Team knows very well the philosophy. People who understand football know it was not an ideal situation. I was thinking perhaps that he was referring to all the journos there. Need to keep some very good performances had some very good performances. Yeah, we need to keep some very good performances at Stamford Bridge next season, as we've had for the last 10 games. So, in fact, he ignored the question completely, and his own words talked about beautiful football. And the bloke said, beautiful football, fluid football were Todd's quotes this week. And his response to that was, oh, yes.
JK, maybe his response should have been what Stephen Osborne said, which is hopefully they've been practicing cordons, not looking at Twitter. Good response.
And he said, must be music to your ears, this bloke said, Mr. with the fruity voice. No idea what that meant at all. Sorry? Must be music to your ears, says the bloke again. Poch looks confused. Nice to hear. And Poch goes, makes a very strange noise. Definitely doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about at all. Has no idea that Boehly said anything at all during the week. And then suddenly twigs, because he says, the reality, yes, Todd always very good with us, even when it was tough. If the answer is hoping if the owner is happy, it's much better. We work for the club and the owners also. Well, fuck you. I thought you just worked for the owners. Poch nods, happy that he's just spoken bollocks. We've seen. Oh yeah, another question. This is from Laura, the bloke he likes, the girl he likes. We've seen Cucurella get better and better. Will he be setting up inverted from now on? From now on, Poch thinks that's hilarious and laughs again. In a slightly patronizing way. And she says, oh, you're laughing at my tactics. And he goes, no, I like it. Slightly flirting, worryingly. And she then says, Chile Gusto, can they play there? And then he really just talks absolute shit. I have no idea what he said at all. All about down to the momentum of the characteristic of the player, find a group of player feeling well. It's not about the players. It's not all about the players. Every single I played it back several times, thought I have no idea what you are talking about at all here. So in a defeat tackled world always is, I think, that is going to be positive. This type of situation can help in different ways. You know, we have more players. I just wrote down what the fuck to compensate, or with Mallow and Reese, that is all about our creativity, needing good people of the play. Look at the characteristic of the player. The characteristic is all you can try everything, and for sure it's going to work. To have, and then he starts talking about their legs. To have good legs is quality profile and good technicalities. It's always difficult to apply later. I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. It was remarkably awful. And what I love about the journos is that they don't go, sorry, could you explain? Or sorry, could we, what are you saying there? They just ask another question at the end, after he's finished that, because he seems to come to a full stop and looks. And so she then said, you spoke about being patient and ready and discipline. We've seen big strides with Caicedo. What has been the biggest, with Noni and Caicedo, the biggest development in the squad? And once again, he ignores the question completely and says too many things as an answer to that. So what has been the biggest development in the squad? Too many things. What? Anyway, I suppose he's saying there have been massive developments. Well, you could have fooled me anyway. First, you realize you're at Chelsea, and to be at Chelsea is different from being at another club. We have potential players, and then build a team to create complicity that translates to the pitch. Could you translate that for me, chaps? What does that mean?
Not a clue. Not a clue. Not a Scooby, mate.
We have potential players, and then build a team to create complicity that translates to the pitch. Anyway, all injured players have said you're so supportive. How have you managed to turn players to? How have you managed injured players not playing football? Sorry, this is going on a bit anyway, but it's how you are as a person. He's giving himself a bit of a big up, actually, and your characters and personality. Staff also supportive, but we push to achieve the best level. The experience, we treat every single player differently. Well, I suppose that makes sense. But different bloke, Alex, BBC. Bruce, to have Reese, your captain, back. What can you expect of him for the last 3 games? The most important thing is he'll be there with us. I know it's not always easy when you come from a long-term injury. Most important, he is available and part of the squad. If he can play, and then says the wonderful thing that chances are he won't play. If he can play 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes or half an hour, it will be amazing. Well, it's up to him to give him a go, isn't it, really? Important to finish with good feelings. And for him, it will be amazing to be involved. Okay, good to know. Follow up on Boehly, says somebody who doesn't realize that we got no response to Boehly at all. Do you know when you'll sit down with him at the end of the season yet? And he says, sorry. Clearly sitting down is something that he hasn't grasped very much. And he says, he repeats the question, and he goes, oh, the way we work is to sit with the sporting director. So I suppose once again, he does that thing of not talking. He doesn't want to. He doesn't chat. Basically, he doesn't ever chat to the owners. We are healthily planning the pre-season tour. We are working to try for it. We've had some meetings to arrange for plan and, of course, for the future. Meaningless shit. Meaningless shit. Then Simon Johnson says, given what Todd said, given that you're said about planning for next season, and Poch guesses, and he goes and he smiles and goes, be prepared, work as if you're going to be here for a long time, be professional. Ha, 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 ha. Is this a sign we can read into it that you will be here next season, says Simon. And he says, look, it's not important, and smooths his hair rather a lot as if he's slightly worried. What's important is to keep working and going. If we are all happy, not only the owners, we are all under assessment. If we are happy, perfect. You need to ask owners. Maybe we are no happy and we need to split. Owners may say otherwise. it's not just up to Chelsea, it's also your decision, says Simon. And he says, they say tomorrow leave, or I can. It's two parts. Owners happy or owners not happy. Sporting directors not happy. We are happy. I'm happy. They are also happy. What the fuck was that?
Happy talk.
I'm
about
saying
something. If you don't have a dream, you've got to have a dream.
He then says, I am saying I am no happy. And everybody everybody laughs. And I'm thinking, I don't understand what he's talking about.
Well, this was I think this was the main, I had a quick shufty at social media this afternoon, and this was the main takeaway, wasn't it? They were all saying, oh, he's going to walk. He was saying in the press conference that he's not happy and he's going to walk if they don't give him what he wants.
He says he's happy if he's happy because it's going well, but he's not sure unless he speaks to the directors who may not be happy, but he's not sure because he feels happy. But then he actually says, I'm saying I'm not happy. And they all laugh. Everybody laughs because he's gone the opposite, having said I'm happy. He said, I'm saying I'm not happy. He says, but maybe liking one side, but until here. And we split. It's not a problem. It's not going to be the end of the world if we split. So he leaves it. He leaves it up in the air whilst having said, I'm happy and it's good. He then towards the end of the press conference says, if they sack me, it's not a problem. But it might be that he makes the decision to go.
Well, that's my point.
Yeah, that he may not be happy, but he said he's happy earlier. Then towards the end of that little speech says, I'm actually not happy, to which everybody laughs because he smiled and laughed when he says, I'm actually not happy. So it was such
bewildering. I mean, let's move away from the surreality of that press conference, because I mean, I think we were all agreed and agreeable on Monday that we felt that, overall, if one looks at the season as a whole, there's sympathy for Pochettino because he hasn't really had any say in transfers. There's sympathy with him because we all think that Winstanley and Stewart are complete dickheads. There's sympathy with him because he's working with a lot of young and untested players at Premier League level. There's sympathy with him because he's had a huge amount of injuries. And given that, to get to a Carabao Cup final, the semi-final of the FA Cup, and possibly get into Europe, we'll see. But also, there has been marked improvement in a lot of areas with the players. He deserves to get a crack, and that's over and above my sentiments when we signed him, which was I think he was the best manager under the criteria that I put down that we could get, and I really don't think we could get anybody. We certainly are not going to get an elite coach if we fire Poch. That's for fucking certain. So he deserves another crack. So I could also equally. So I don't think that they should fire him. I think they should fire them. Hang on a minute. I think they should fire themselves before they fire Poch. But also, I could equally understand why he would walk away, because I wouldn't fucking work for these clowns.
But the very fact that he's talking about when they asked what his plans was asked, and he says, "Well, I've met the sporting directors, and we're planning the American tour," which seems to be a bizarre thing to be doing already. But nonetheless, that's what they're doing. They should be. They should be. No. But the bizarre thing to be doing before the season has ended. I would have thought that's something that you wait until you know.
No, you have to be planning that far in advance. You absolutely have to be. Otherwise, you're just making it up as you go along, which is criminal.
He doesn't know what players he's going to get. He doesn't know who's going to be.
Well, yeah, but this is my point. He should be involved in that process, saying, this is where we're weak. This is what we need to correct this. If we do that, this is where we'll go. He has to be part of that process. This is why I think, sporting directors who have complete control of the transfer process is a fucking disaster, because they just buy players that they like with no reckoning of what the manager needs or wants to play the football that he wants to play.
But isn't it the chronology of it that I'm not quite understanding? Because surely they would have a debrief on the season before they start planning to go to America, because if they're going to America already and he's involved, then the message being given to him is that we want you to continue, even though he has not made a decision himself whether he wants to continue. So why would he start planning for the American tour if he doesn't want to be with the club? Surely he would.
I agree.
He might have given a hint, or they haven't even had a debrief of how the season has gone. He needs to say, we can't have this. We don't do. Perhaps that's what he means. But to actually say in the press conference, I've met them and we've been preparing for the USA. Well, what can they prepare? This is my point, Chidge. If he doesn't know,
I agree. Well, I think that's what I'm saying. Is, I mean, in a functional normal club, I would imagine that you need to be, at least making initial contacts with players that you want to try and sign during the window. To get, you can't just fuck. I mean, if you decide you want to go and buy something on the spur of the moment, the chances are, if it's in demand, you're not going to be able to get it. So you need to be in there early planning this. That's what I'm saying. I don't know, Clayton. What do you think about all of this? Can you make sense of it?
Which part?
Well, let's first talk about, is Poch really saying, if I don't get what I want, I'm going to walk away?
No.
Okay.
I think he's, my perception, I didn't see the presser today. He made a bit of a statement after the Spurs victory about the fact that nobody has spoken to him, and if they don't want him, then so be it, which seemed to indicate that either something had been said to him or hadn't been said to him, the fact that he hadn't been spoken to. I mean, it might be that this whole thing of, I mean, you don't know the amount of communication there was with him at the beginning. You don't know, because that was obviously a very difficult period. You don't know whether they were there being supportive of him, and now they've moved away as things seem to be getting slightly better. So you don't know any of that. Ultimately, we don't know anything. Now, if he's basically can see, they're not stupid. They can see, and he can see, that things are better. And I put that in italics because I think you had the Villa performance, which I don't think we should say that we've been good for 2.5 games. I think we've been good for 3 games, because I think against Villa we were the better side. We
played well in the first half. Actually,
we gifted them 2 goals. They were. I can't remember where I was, but I heard sort of certainly Villa people saying that they were embarrassed to be 2-0 up. They were delighted, but they were basically embarrassed because they've been completely outplayed. And then we come back and we are sort of a VAR decision away from winning. The 2 victories at home last week were both excellent. They were both really, really good. But you're basically, okay, Spurs weren't on the beach, but they look like they've just lost it completely. And West Ham definitely just didn't turn up. But we didn't beat either Sheffield United or Burnley. So that there has been an improvement. There has been a sea change. Certain players have stepped up. And I find it very interesting that you look at a player like Badiashile, who against Arsenal looked like he'd actually never stepped on a football pitch. And yet he's looked immaculate in the subsequent games. Now,
how about your favourite player, Madueke, as well?
There was a very, very funny moment because Mr. Glover in the Cock Tavern before the game said, "I'm really looking forward to shoving your words down your throat next season about Madueke." And that's fine. Wrong about a lot of things, and he looks like a different player, because you can't tell me that he looked any good at the beginning of the season. He didn't. He looked awful. I think that the 4th goal against West Ham was a huge thing. I mean, this guy is desperate to score. He's taken the wrong option numerous times this season by shooting instead of laying the ball off. And yet, against Tottenham, against West Ham, against Villa, this was a different player. This was a more mature player. This is a player who it looks like the light bulb's gone on. And it's like, oh, yeah, okay. And he's playing very, very well. I mean, hopefully it will last. Hopefully this isn't just a flash. I mean, this goes back to something which I think is very, very important, and that is players playing consistently, not being swapped in and out and in and out, because I think
I agree.
Every single player needs to hit a rhythm and go. And the irony is that because of our atrocious injury record, Poch has been forced to play the same players. Now, I know we're going to come on to it, but it will be very interesting to see what Poch does against Forest, because he's now got several of those positions have been covered. So I think, Poch is obviously a proud guy. The one thing I would say, and I have said this consistently, even though I think he's done a lot wrong, the players love him. There's been no games where the players have given up. There's been quite a lot of games where we've come back right near the end of games, and even if it's just to draw games, and you don't do that with players who don't care. And I think these players like him. Now, it might be, we had the situation with the penalty with Madueke and Jackson, and that only occurred because the perception is that there was not enough discipline in the squad. And that's perhaps because he's not hard on them. But then you have the converse where you see that spirit. So I think that Poch is wise enough to know that he's done something, he's built something, or he's building something, and that if they don't want him, then he'll walk away. But I suspect he doesn't want to. Yeah. There might have been a time where he wanted to, but I suspect now he doesn't, and he's perhaps calling their bluff.
Yeah, maybe. They're clever guys, these managers. They're not above a bit of politics. You've segued beautifully into this, Clayton, which of course is my team selection. There we go. Jonathan's excited. I've pretty much stuck with what's been doing so well, actually, and that will create some debate for us in a minute. But I've gone Petrovic in goal, obviously. The inverted super poodle as left back, Silva and Chalobah as central defence, which might seem a bit unfair on Badiashile because he did all right against West Ham, and Trevoh was out as right back. But the reason I've gone Silva and Chalobah is because Gusto came on, so I'm presuming he's fit to resume duties, and of course he's rather good as our right back. I know James is fit. We'll talk about that in a minute. Gallagher and Moises pick themselves as the deeper two in midfield. Palmer as the number 10. Mudryk out left. Madueke on the right. Jackson up front. Frankly, right now on form, that's the team that picks itself. The big question, of course, is will Poch pick that team, or will he be tempted to play the likes of Nkunku? We know he's fit. Colwell is over his injured toe. In fact, if I told you, where we're at with the injuries, I mean, Reece James is in team training. Ukachukwu is in team training, so I suspect that they'll be on the bench. Ben Chilwell continuing to undergo his rehabilitation program. Chukwuemeka continuing to undergo his rehabilitation program. Fernandes continuing to undergo his rehabilitation program. Fofana continuing to undergo his rehabilitation program. And Romeo Lavia continuing to undergo his rehabilitation program. So everybody else is fit. So, Sterling was on the bench the other night and the other day didn't come on at all. So it'll be interesting whether he puts them on the bench and keeps the team that's been winning, or if he's tempted to change it and bring certainly Nkunku back. I would suspect, or Cole. Well, Nkunku and Cole will. James will, I think, be on the bench, but I can't see him getting more than a few minutes at the end. So answer that, but also at the back of your mind, I think there's a longer term question about Reece, because he may be in team training. I don't want to see Reece James at all this season. I don't want to see him playing in the European Tour particularly, and I certainly don't want to see him playing for fucking England in the summer. I want him to be fully recovered with no sniff of an injury before next season, and then come back then. That's my view, but I'd be very eager to hear what you boys think.
It'd be very interesting to see what, if he does come on, how he plays. Because if you remember when he came on, when he came back from the injury, he was unbelievably tentative at the beginning of the season and was about an eighth the Reece James that we knew.
Yeah.
And then got injured immediately, which sort of made sense because he was clearly wasn't fit enough. But it's difficult, isn't it? If he needs to be absolutely back to his game and sprinting and running properly, which he didn't do when he came back. So he'll really be under the microscope if he does get on for 5 minutes. I reckon the only time he'll get on is if we're winning pretty easily, Yes, we do need to have that, don't we? I'm continuing to go under my rehabilitation program. Yeah.
New
like
T-shirt idea. Well done, Jenny. Like that a lot.
Very good. It's a shame, but Badiashile did play completely differently. I think whether it's because he's playing with Sylvia rather than Disasi.
Sylvia? Who's Sylvia?
Sylvia, yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Bates's missus's name?
No, that was Susanna.
Susanna. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
she should have been called Sylvia.
I was the actor friend. So it makes sense in our heads to play exactly the same setup, except with Gusto at right back, because he's Alfie Gilchrist did wonderfully, and playing Chalabar there it was fantastic. But we don't need to do that. Let's play Chalabar next to Silva because he's playing out of his skin. Chalabar.
Oh, they're the best two defenders.
And play Gusto in his best position because he's a very
best
decent
right back available.
Yeah, absolutely right. And Cucurella is playing. I find this is all a bit disingenuous, this business about playing the inverted, and he gets, as he said in the press conference, I didn't mention it, he gets up into the pocket. I thought he uses that word, the pocket. I can't understand most of what you're talking about, but I can understand.
Sounds like Poch, doesn't it? That's why.
Probably why he remembers it. But he seems to be playing very similarly to the role he had at Brighton, which is he gets further up and is in an attacking position rather than playing an overlapping fullback. He's actually up. He gets into the penalty area and plays with the winger, and the winger does that role for him as well. So you've got Mudryk, and they do have a pretty decent combination. Now, the one thing that Mudryk does do well is to play those little balls into the area that Jackson gets onto, or even Cucurella gets onto. So those three seem to play quite competently, and he's revealing himself as the irritating defender that he was at Brighton, which he always snapped at you like a little terrier, despite being a poodle. So. So I'm up for him playing for the rest of the season. I'm up for him playing that position next season as well, actually, Chidge. So because I think he's, I really think he's come on fantastically, and I slightly despair that we were so. I mean, he didn't play well at all. So I suppose if your players don't play well and don't look as if they're going to, you then don't feel particular affection.
Well, I tell you what, it shows you that we often don't take into account. Where players are at physically if they've been injured, but actually also where they're at mentally, because I think he lost a family member or something, didn't he? Yeah.
I think one of the things Poch said in the last press conference when he was making sense was that they had a lot of players not at the same level all the time. So he was having to put players in who were only 50% competitive, he felt. They weren't at the same competitive level, and they would then let you down. Whereas obviously with this lot, he now feels they're all at the same level. Cucurella is an example of that, I think, because he's looking very fit. But this thing also that he said briefly in the middle of the press conference, it's about the legs, whether they've got good legs. He obviously meant not from an aesthetic point of view. He wasn't appreciating their meaty thighs. He was
only
just
if they shave them.
again, well, perhaps that happens automatically nowadays. Perhaps you have to do that for lack of friction. That makes you run faster or something. I don't know.
Remember what was Anders Limpar used to shave everything.
Everything.
I had when I had a pint with Perry. Well, you can't just have a pint with Perry Groves. It was several pints of Perry Groves, and he told me the story about Anders Limpar, and he used to completely shave everything, not a hair on his body, and they all took the piss out of him in the bath after a match. And he said
he didn't have any abundant pubic hair as a consequence.
No, absolutely everything, not a hair on his fucking head, let alone his Johnson.
Yeah,
So they're all taking the piss out of him, and he just turns and says, "Well, my wife likes it."
Can't say fairer than that, can you?
You can't.
But yeah, I'd be intrigued to see what would he consider not playing Mudryk and playing Nkunku in that position on the left? I don't think so. He came on and looked away with the fairies again, Nkunku. So I hope he plays that exactly same pattern. He would be. We've not seen him in a position where we've got a winning team fiddle with it, have we? We haven't seen that yet because we haven't really had any consistency this season. So I mean, I would. They've played so well this lot. I would, other than the Gusto situation where I felt they were making do, so I would keep them as they are, because Madueke the last few games has actually been a class above what we thought. Every time, Clayton, that I looked at Madueke and talked about it, I remember you saying, he was ridiculously awful, and I then thought, well, I wonder what Clayton's thinking now, because he has really come up a lot, hasn't he, Madueke? He's become a really decent player. So let's hope they all maintain that level, as does Poch. But he mustn't disrupt it. Surely.
No. Well, let's hope not. Let's hope not. I hope not. That's why I picked it. I hope not. Clayton, what do you think of my selezione?
Yeah, I think that's potentially what will happen tomorrow. I would be tempted to keep the same back four that we had against West Ham, because I think that Trevor is a better defender than Gusto, and a certain ex-Chelsea player is going to be quite difficult to play.
Oi, Hudson-Odoi. Oi, Hudson-Odoi.
I would basically stay. That's why I would stay with the back four. I think the rest of the team picks itself. I don't think Nkunku's match fit. He can't be match fit.
No.
So that there's no way that he's going to start. I think Mudryk is just a complete enigma. And what I found absolutely hysterical was, and I don't know whether this is tactical or whether this is the players actually doing this themselves, but if you watch our game against West Ham, every single thing comes down the right-hand side. Nothing goes to Mudryk. And they're just not using him. And I suspect the players are potentially frustrated with him. I don't know, but when I was watching the second half of the West Ham game, it was all down our side. There was absolutely nothing at all on the left-hand side. But you wouldn't want to start Sterling. You wouldn't want to start. I mean, you've got to keep these guys going. I mean, if we use Madueke as an example, then this will be Mudryk's fourth or fifth start in a row. You never know. That, I mean, was it against Spurs when he put in that brilliant ball for Jackson in the first couple of minutes? I mean, he's got something, and then he was really unlucky not to score against Spurs when he had that shot that sort of curled just past the post. I don't know. I have to say that I'm sort of excited for next season when Jackson is pushed out to the left, which is his position, and he's going to have all that confidence that he's gained from that first season, and we've got somebody in the middle. Now, who that somebody is going to be, I don't know, whether it'll be Nkunku or whether they bring anybody in. I mean, I sort of seen all the nonsense on social media about the guy from Napoli, and Lukaku going the other way, Osimhen, that would be interesting. That would be very interesting, but I'm not quite sure financially whether we can do that. But yeah, no, it's good. I think sort of, I know not really talking about tomorrow so much, but what I think is going to be very interesting is when Enzo's back on the scene and fit,
indeed.
and what we do with him.
Absolutely. You mentioned Oi Hudson-Odoi, and he's a real threat. We know all about him. Gibbs White is a massive threat too. Forest are fighting relegation, and they are tough to beat and play on the counter, JK. So this is not going to be a walkover. They're going to be bang up for it. They're desperate for. I mean, I think if I just whiz down to my table of league, I think they're like three. There we go. They're in 17th. Okay, so they're on the edge of the relegation zone, and they're only 3 points above Luton. So, and they got 2 games left. So they will be trying to win this game and then some. This is not going to be. I mean, I said on the show, didn't I, on Monday? I said, ironically, both Brighton and Bournemouth will probably literally and metaphorically be on the beach. This will be our toughest game of the 3 that we've got left. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, completely, utterly, yeah. They'll be up for it. They don't appear to have gone very far away from the tactics they had before when we were there last year of big defence and then speedy running after the ball after it's when we make a mistake or it's booted up the pitch, which appears to be quite common for most teams nowadays. It's just a question of how on top of this we are. I think the current way we've been playing, we should win, but it'll be physical, it'll be tough, it'll be loud, very in your face, and an intriguing pairing, I think, with a confident, much more skillful Chelsea, with more belief, playing against a side desperate for the points. Having watched Forest on a few occasions, yes, I have. I don't really see anything in it that would cause us any problems if once again we're playing like the team who played against Villa, West Ham and Tottenham the way we did. So I still think it'll be a draw, though. I think that I think we'll possibly be intimidated a bit at the beginning. We seem to be intimidated by teams who go for us at the beginning, and they'll press madly, which can be their undoing, of course, because if you then you get the ball up the pitch quickly to Jackson, I think he can, the way he is at the moment, he's likely to set something up. So, in fact, no, don't think it'll be a draw. I think it might be a draw. I've actually said we'd win 3-1 on my prediction. So, I'd like to feel that we'll beat them. I'd like to beat them just specifically because they're very in your face as a team at the City Ground. The world famous City Ground, as they announce as you sit there and stand there, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure to whom it's world famous. It may have been world famous in the 70s possibly, but no longer. Yeah. So it's going to be an interesting pairing, I think with lots of dash and mayhem and lots of the ball being booted down the pitch by Forest and people running after it very quickly. So.
It's one of the things that's impressed me about Chelsea recently, Clayton, is, and obviously this was very relevant last weekend, and is a bit of a sea change for us. And I wonder if this is because of the exuberance of youth, but we don't look like a team who will get 2 goals in front and then try and sit on the lead, which we've seen a lot of from Chelsea down the years. They do look like when they get 1 or 2 goals, they want to get more, and they just keep going. They like scoring goals, which of course we all like. It kind of reminds me a bit of Ancelotti's side. They were like that. They just kept on wanting to score goals because they would rip teams apart and look really good, and they would want to score as many goals as they could. Of course, the corollary of that with this team, unlike Ancelotti's team, is that the naivety of youth comes in as well, and we're always likely to leak a few as well. I mean, admittedly, we've kept a couple of clean sheets recently and done well in that respect. But, you just know it, don't you, with a young team. But, it makes us good to watch, actually. It's good on the eye when we're humming like we are at the moment. But it's not really for the faint-hearted, I don't think.
No, I think there is that. I do actually think, without sort of trying to be negative about what's happened in the last couple of weeks, all of this has happened after, in essence, all the pressure of the season going. There's been nothing on those games. I mean, we have obviously worked ourselves towards European qualification, but on the back of having no pressure. I think that you're right in what you say. We do try and score. A lot of it, and it seems a fairly obvious thing to say, is to do with Cole Palmer, because everything goes through him and he's a sensationally good player. It's quite interesting because I don't know what you guys thought or whether you've mentioned it on the FanCast, but he just didn't look fit at all against Spurs.
Yeah, we did mention he didn't look on it, did he?
But then against West Ham, he looked like he was up for it. I mean, whether he had some sort of virus or was cold or whatever.
Cold Palmer.
Cold Palmer, indeed. So, yeah, I mean, I think tomorrow's interesting, but what you haven't mentioned is the fact that potentially by the time we kick off, Forest will be safe.
Yeah.
Because unless one or other of Burnley or Luton win tomorrow, they're down virtually, because their goal difference is massive. So Burnley are playing at Spurs, so there's a good chance that they're going to get tonked. And Luton are at West Ham. So as bad as West Ham are, that will still be a difficult. I think it's Moyes' last game.
Well, I give both Burnley and Luton a fair chance of winning both those games, actually, because I think West Ham are absolutely on the beach, and the manager's gone, so they're on their holidays, and Spurs are in free fall, and Burnley are not a bad side, So
maybe, but yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I don't know. I mean, I think it's quite a difficult game to call. I think a draw is thing. I mean, the other thing that is, as far as our home form has been fantastic this year. Year, our away form is still crap. I mean, basically, we haven't won since Palace.
Well, I can get into the stats, actually, as you've segued it beautifully for me. We've only had one defeat in our last 12 Premier League outings, won 6, drawn 5. But we're winless in our last 5 away league outings, having drawn 4 and lost 1. So there you go. You're right. That's interesting. Do you realise if Forest beat us on Saturday, that means it'll be the first time they've won the double over us, if you like, since 1978-79, JK.
But they've hardly been in the league, though, have they, Chidge? So you can't really use that.
That's true. That is very true. Because, I normally do my, our record against them in the pro. Because, of course, I've come, I've been persuaded by the fact that football actually only started in 1992. So I only look at our record in the Premier League against Forest away. We've only played them 6 times. So 93, 94, 95, 97, 99, 2023. But weirdly, we've lost 2, won 2, and drawn 2 there. So it's bizarrely equal. Overall, we've won 40 games against Forest, drawn 30 games, and won 27. So even that's fairly evenly distributed. So there we go. Not that this actually really means anything whatsoever. But the recent form, I mean, Forest have won. They beat Sheffield United 3-1 away. They lost 2-0 to City at home. They lost 2-0 to Everton away. They drew 2-2 with Wolves at home. And they lost 3-1 to Spurs away. So that's pretty patchy. A good assortment of teams, good and bad. And of course,
the Everton game had the Anthony Taylor handicap, though, didn't it? Or Stuart Atwell's, to be more accurate.
That's very true. Yeah, that is very, very true. Yeah. So there we go. I mean, I'm kind of with you boys, really. I think it's a difficult one to call because I cannot see them being anything else other than bang on it. I really can't.
Unless, as Clayton points out, the other two have gone down, in which case the fans will be rejoicing, and the players might just take their eye off the ball, as it were.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go for a win, but I don't think it'll be a hammering. I think maybe, 2-1, something like that. Maybe 3-1 if we're lucky. I'll go 2-1. When in doubt, go 2-1. So there we go. So you're going what, JK? What did you decide in the end?
I don't know. 2-2 appears to be our normal away score, doesn't it, at the moment? So, but I think we might just be too good for them in certain departments. So let's say 3-1.
Well, I mean, exactly. Well, for us, I'm kind of with you a little bit on that because, I mean, we've been saying for the last couple of weeks, and it's been proved statistically, we are playing at the moment like a top four side.
Yeah.
Not like the mid-table side that we have actually been most of the season. And, Forest are about to go down possibly. So, I would say 3-1, 3 or 4-1 normally. But I just think because Forest, on the assumption that they will be absolutely desperate to avoid relegation and be bang up for it, I'm gonna go and stick to a 2-1. You're going 3-1. Clayton, what are you going to go for?
I think it's going to be 2-2. And I note that probably the same time as the last time I was on the show, I've frozen. I don't know whether I'm timed out or something, but thankfully I've shaved my armpit, so you can't actually see it.
Yeah. You're looking very relaxed, mate. That's all I'm going to say.
I was relaxed at that moment.
It's a very nice pose. Very nice. You could keep that screensaver. You could put that up all the time.
I like it. He's looking good, isn't he, mate? He's looking very relaxed, slightly dismissive. I like it. It's a good look. Yeah. Right, okay. It's time, JK, for... They played for both.
They played for both.
All right, I hope you two are ready. Ready? There are only 22. You'll be delighted to know, not like the 572 that we had last week. 22 players have represented both Chelsea and Nottingham Forest during their careers, and they are JK and Clayton.
Odoi.
Oi. Hudson Odoi, easy.
Did Ola Aina ever play a first team game for us?
Well, his name is not on the list, so I'm going to have to say no.
Jim Barron.
Oh my God, Clayton Beerman.
Well done.
Olden but golden.
Who's the other goalkeeper who's in it? Plays for every other team.
Tony Godden.
No.
What's his
Terry
face?
Digweed.
No, the well-known one. The one who played for us.
Who?
Dave Besson.
Yes.
Yeah, Besson. Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. Dave Besson.
I'll tell you who. Oh God, he was very, very promising young defender who we thought was going to be brilliant, and he played Michael Mansion.
Very good.
Did he play for Forest as well as Wolves?
Yeah.
He did. I think he went there. I think he went to Forest after he left us, or via some foreign country.
Benfica maybe, wouldn't it?
And I think a certain person who won the European Cup played for Forest as well.
Does that certain person share my birthday?
I don't know. Does he?
He does.
Okay.
Is he a French player?
No.
Rion Bertrand.
Oh, oh yes, he is. Yeah, that's it. Very good.
His name is also on the list. JK.
God.
No, he's English, mate. It's just that we used to call him Rion Bertrand.
No, I didn't say. I said, was he French? Did he play for Forest? I said.
Yeah.
I knew he played for Southampton for ages.
There's another current player that we've got that we loaned to them that you should know. There's a striker that you definitely should know, played for loads of people.
Andrea Santos.
Yes.
Although he's not played in the first team for us.
No, I know. So I don't know why he's got on the list, but there you go. There's one of our greatest ever players. There's some very interesting people on this list.
So The greatest ever player you're talking about, one of the greatest when they're on loan, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
And he
What,
is.
JT?
Yeah.
Yes.
KT. Yeah.
Another goalkeeper, best mate of Zola's.
Begovic.
No. No. Come on, Clayton. He's a goalie.
And he played for Forest. His best mate is Zola.
Yeah. Likes golf.
Not Carlo.
No. Kevin Hitchcock.
Oh.
Somebody's brother plays for Forest. Or played for them.
What,
Older brother.
Chalobah.
Yeah.
Nat.
Yeah.
Chalobah.
Very good. Somebody's son who didn't play for Chelsea, played for Arsenal, played for Forest.
No. What? If somebody's son, but didn't play for Chelsea?
No, he played. His father played for Arsenal, and is on Match of the Day.
Oh, Sean Wright Phillips.
Yes.
So he played for Forest.
Yeah, he did. This guy used to play. He played for Palace a lot as well as us. So we're going back to the 90s, I think. And he's now really fat. That's a clue, isn't it? I mean, if you played football against him now, you'd be worried that he'd eat you, not tackle you.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Neil Shipperley.
Yeah, Clayton Beerman, you were on fire.
I basically would get that, but I have absolutely no idea that he played for Forest.
No, I didn't either. Okay, there's a couple of youth players here who we really liked and thought they would do very, very well.
And didn't.
And well, they didn't. I think one got injured. He's often on the radio now. We thought very highly of them. I can't give you.
Not Cundy. Cundy.
No. These are recent. These are in the 2000s.
I don't know this, and I don't think he ever played for. But I'm thinking Josh McEachran. Did he ever go there?
No. It's that era though. It's that era. While you're thinking about that, another one is we've had him as a guest on the Troubadour, JK. And he's won the European. Yeah, he's won the European Cup.
Of course, he played for them. Yes.
So we're now getting into the territory of who. So we've got the two youngsters that you will know, and then there's another one. We loan this kid out everywhere, but he used to bang in goals for fun in the Championship.
Oh God. We bought him from Forest, didn't we? Patrick Bamford.
Got him right. There we go. I think that's okay. Shall I give you the two young'uns, and then I'll give you the others that you will or will not know. The two youngsters are Sam Hutchinson and Todd Kane.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they were good players.
Sam Hutchinson was terribly injury prone, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He retired and then came back.
Yeah, that's right. But he was. Oh, there's one more. He was very good at jumping over minis.
Oh, Duncan McKenzie, of course.
There we go. I think that's your lot as far as those that you will know. So I shall give you the others, and also Nathan's done his usual bit of giving us a bit of info. So Jim Barron, Clayton got 1965, one appearance, and he had played in the pre-season tour of Australia. How did you know that?
Do you know it's just one of those things that you just don't. I just knew that because I mean it's like Alex Stepney played once for us, and that was it. And Jim Barron, because Jim Barron was a goalkeeping coach forever and a day. He was a goalkeeping coach at so many different clubs.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I knew that Alex Stepney had played for us because I've got the 1965 League Cup winning team photo on my wall, and he's in it. So I knew that. Right. Okay. What?
No, I said as a sub because Bonetti played. So
yeah.
Must have just been part of the squad.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, so Jim Barrett, Jack Calvey, reserve 1906, England international 1902, 1 cap. Billy Gray, 1949 to 53, 172 appearances, 15 goals. Todd Kane was a reserve from 2011 to 19, and he was on loan at Forest in 2015. Eric Oakton, 1932 to 37, 112 appearances, 30 goals. Mickey Summers, reserve, 1962 to 64, started as an amateur with Forest. Okay. And then Charlie Chick Thompson, 1952 to 56, 59 appearances, 0 goals, 16 clean sheets. And Nathan missed this off, probably because you should know this. So I think Robert Wollaston.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw his debut.
Yeah, there
Robert
we go.
Wollaston. Yeah.
So well done. You did pretty well there. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Good going. You're getting better at this.
Your excellent hints, though.
Yeah, I know, but we'll be here all night without that. Right, just to very quickly say thanks to Nathan from the Chelsea Graves Society, or at CFC_Graves_SOC, and Paul Carter and his website, Stamford. I think it's actually Stamford-bridge.com. You can find Paul on Twitter at Stamford_bridge, and check out the Chelsea Heritage Group, chelseaheritagepartnership.com, or at CFC_heritage. So there we jolly well go. Right. I think we better bugger off, really. We've had more than enough of people's time. Some of us have got things to do, beds to go to, crap TV to watch. JK and I will be back on Sunday. Breaking news alert. Breaking news alert. We are back on Sunday. Why? Well, it's not because it's not a bank holiday. No. I am going to an evening at Stamford Bridge, as is Clayton, actually, to do with the mental health thing that I'm involved with over the line, where we'll be learning about active listening, something that I'm not very good at, even if I am a counsellor. No, I am, actually. I listen to you. I've listened to you two waffling on all night, so I can't be that bad. But anyway, it's a very good thing to be going to. And, of course, it clashes with the FanCast, and it's also in London, so it's impossible for me to do the show Monday. So we are going to be doing it on Sunday. Yes, indeed. And we're going to be doing it with Dean Mears. Dino's back. And we'll be looking back at the Forest match. And, of course, we'll be looking ahead to the Brighton match on Wednesday night. We've had more emails, JK. An in off the post is imminent, I feel.
I feel I will be prepared.
Yeah. Can we get one? Can we crack one out before the end of the season? That's what everybody's asking.
Yes, definitely.
I think we may well do that. Now, so you have time to send an email in if you want. The address, of course, is chelseafancast@gmail.com. And about this time, I normally would say, to get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/ChelseaFancast. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee, and you will help support the Chelsea Fancast. What more do you bloody well want? There we go. Clayton, it's always an utter delight to have you on the show, and it has been tonight, of course, no exception at all. So lovely to see you.
Absolute pleasure to be here, mate. Very, very enjoyable evening, although you can't see me anymore.
No, we can see you. It's just that you haven't moved. It looks like you've got rigor mortis, mate.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Sadly, in the wrong part of my body.
You're looking rather stiff, Clayton, in the nicest possible way.
For now.
Can you see us, though, Clayton? Can you see us?
Yeah. I can see you, and you're moving.
Lovely stuff, Clayton. It's been a pleasure. Lovely having you on the show, as I said. And Mr. Kydd, you devil, you. It's lovely to have you on the show, as we do every week. Are you going up tomorrow?
I am.
You are going. I was really tempted to go up to Nottingham. I love Nottingham, and a great time is always had whenever I go, because I go up there for the cricket quite a lot. So I was really tempted, but I've got too much on, so I can't really go, which is a real shame. So no more away games for me this season, which is a bit sad. I've done more aways this season than I have done for 25, 30 years.
Well, about 3
years.
Done about 3, have you?
Let's just work it out. West Ham, Fulham,
Bournemouth.
No. West Ham, Fulham, Burnley. West Ham, Fulham, Burnley. Palace. I think it's 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would have done Villa if they hadn't have moved the bloody time. Anyway, enough said. JK, safe travels tomorrow, mate. Enjoy the game. I look forward to your fan bite as ever.
Thank you.
So there we go. You lot out there, particularly those of you who've been watching live and commenting in the chat rooms, thank you very much. We really do appreciate your support. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. For those of you who are listening to this as a podcast, thank you. And we will see you on Sunday. Until then, keep it blue, keep it carefree, and keep it Chelsea.
Hey!
Chelsea!